What did Antonio Cesaro do to piss off the WWE? My name is Tubby, and that's what we're going to talk about in this video. Now, that should be the big question. What did Antonio Cesaro do to piss off the WWE? Instead, a lot of the younger kids or people were like, no, what took so long for Kofi to get a push? And I like Kofi Kingston. I think he's a great talent. Unfortunately, here's my honest opinion of the situation. You have a guy like Antonio Cesaro who's got massive potential. Now, I love Antonio Cesaro. His ring work, when he throws a guy up in the ring and hits him with a European uppercut, it is like, goddamn, that is awesome. Or from a top rope or from wherever. He is a guy that is a physical specimen, like JBL said. It's just, to watch him wrestle and compete is fantastic. CM Punk, major fan of Antonio Cesaro, and for a reason. Now, a guy like Kofi, he's entertaining. He provides high spots. That's all great and fine. But he is becoming, and some people are going to agree and some people are going to disagree, the John Cena of the WWE. Now, a lot of people want him like, hey, Kofi should turn heel. Kofi's been the same good guy now for a couple years. And it's the same old shtick. He comes out, boom, boom, boom. You know, he's every 6 months or so he picks up a mid-card US or Intercontinental title and then does nothing, the same old routine. He's kind of becoming as predictable as John Cena. Except John Cena finds a way to win every time and Kofi doesn't. Now, I'm not saying that to, put Kofi down. I like Kofi. I like Antonio Cesaro. I think as far as a main event talent, I hate to say it, but Antonio Cesaro's got way more potential than Kofi ever will. Now, there are people that hate Antonio Cesaro, but whether you hate him or you love him, he's a good wrestler. Now, one of the most interesting things about this is they kept Antonio Cesaro off Mania. After having him build the U.S. title, he was in a feud with R-Truth, Hacksaw Jim Duggan, No American Can Beat Me. And then they have Kofi Kingston, without a storyline, beat him on Raw 2 weeks after he was capped off of the WrestleMania card. And that, to me, is a disgrace to Antonio Cesaro. You built a guy up, you give him a title, you don't put it on the card. You don't put Antonio Cesaro on the card. This year's card should have been filled with Antonio Cesaro, Fandango, The Shield, etc., but Cesaro was kept off. Why was Cesaro kept off? And then to have him drop a title on Monday Night Raw with no storyline, no backdrop, is a complete and utter disappointment. Regardless of how useless the United States title is, to me, that is disrespectful to Antonio Cesaro. They probably, need to have a match for Extreme Rules, Instead of going number one contender route, they switch the title. I'm not against title matches on Raw. I like it. But I don't like it every week. Now, the Intercontinental Championship match last week, Miz, getting that WrestleMania moment and then losing it. It kept his WrestleMania streak going, only to lose the title. I was fine with that. The disrespect to Antonio Cesaro, I'm not fine with. I want to know your guys' thoughts. What do you think of Antonio Cesaro being kept off of WrestleMania and then dropping the title to Kofi Kingston? Does he have big plans in the future? Let me know.